Promise, we got that breaking news. Good to be with you. I'm Katie Tur. We're following that news out of Washington, D.C., where the Justice Department has just released transcripts and audio from Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche to House lawmakers. Again, there is audio. The audio is coming. We are trying to turn it. Joining us now, MSNBC legal analyst and former Assistant Manhattan District Attorney Catherine Christian. New York Times opinion columnist David French is with us as well. I will note the interesting timing in doing both the John Bolton search today and releasing 263 pages of Epstein, of the Ghislaine Maxwell interview. I'm going to just now, it's going to take a bit. I'm going to read the pertinent interview portions related to both President Clinton and President Trump between Todd Blanche and Ghislaine Maxwell. I will also note that sitting in on this interview was an FBI agent, which means, and it's a proffer agreement, so if Maxwell lied to Todd Blanche or others, she could be prosecuted. Lying to an FBI agent, whether under oath or not, is a federal crime. So bear with me. I'm going to read it as we try to turn this audio. This is on page 103, again, of these 263 pages. Shout out to Tom Winter for finding it so quickly. Todd Blanche asking Ghislaine Maxwell, do you know whether, for example, President Clinton ever received a massage? Ghislaine Maxwell, I don't believe he did. Todd Blanche, and what makes you say you don't believe he did? Ghislaine, well, because I don't. So that's a good question. The time that Epstein and President Clinton spent together, the only times I believe, well, obviously, they traveled. There was that, you know, the plane. They went on the plane 26 times or whatever. That would be one journey. So they spent time on the plane together. And I don't believe there was ever a massage on the plane. So that would be the only time that I think President Clinton could have received a massage. And he didn't because I was there. Todd Blanche. And you mentioned that early in the very beginning of the conversation, you mentioned President Trump in the early 90s. Maxwell, yes. Blanche. What did you observe as far as President Trump and his relationship with you or Mr. Epstein? Maxwell, well, I just want to say for my relationship with President Trump, relationship's a big word. But I just want to say that I met him, or I believe I may have, because of my father in the 90s. Blanche, okay. So my father liked him very much. He was loved, really liked his wife as well, because we were both Czechoslovakian. And as far as I'm concerned, President Trump was always very cordial and very kind to me. And I just want to say that I admire his extraordinary achievement in becoming the president. And I like him, and I've always liked him. So that is the sum and substance of my entire relationship with him. Blanche. What about Mr. Epstein's relationship with him? Maxwell. I don't know how they met. I don't know how they became friends. I certainly saw them together and remember the few times I observed them together, but they were friendly. I mean, they seemed friendly. Blanche. Was that in social settings or was that in private settings? Maxwell. I believe I only ever saw them in social settings. I don't recall any private settings. Blanche. Have you ever been to Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach? Maxwell. I have. Blanche. In what time period are you thinking about when you say yes? By the way, these are pictures from Mar-a-Lago that we're showing on the screen right now. Maxwell. I don't remember when the president purchased Mar-a-Lago, so from whenever it turned into the club, I went there and I loved going there. Blanche. Did you go there alone or with Mr. Epstein? Maxwell, mostly alone. Blanche, do you know where? Maxwell, and the times I went there, it was for an event, maybe once or twice. Blanche, and do you know whether Mr. Epstein ever went there? Maxwell, I believe he did. But again, he didn't take me with him all the time. So he would go, he did from time to time, but he would go alone. I think he would maybe go himself to the spa. I certainly did. Blanche. Did you ever observe President Trump receiving a massage? Maxwell. Never. Blanche. Did you ever observe, you said that you were, have you seen, there's photographs, public photographs of Mr. Epstein and President Trump together. Maxwell. Yes. Blanche. And there's photographs. I think you're in some of them. Again, these are ones that we're showing. Maxwell, yes. Blanche, as well. Those all appear to be social settings. Maxwell, yes. Todd Blanche, do you? Well, Maxwell interrupts. That's my memory. They were social settings. I don't know Epstein, if he had whatever the nature of the president's friendship, if you will, or however you want to define that with Epstein. I never witnessed. I think they were friendly, like people are in social settings. I don't think they were close friends, or I certainly never witnessed the president in I don't recall ever seeing him in his house, for instance. I actually never saw the president in any type of massage setting. I never witnessed the president in any appropriate setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects. Blanche, when's the last time you saw him in person, President Trump? Maxwell. It's been a long time. Probably not sometime in the beginning, mid 2000s, maybe. And it would only have been a social setting as far as I can recall. Blanche, and did you ever hear Mr. Epstein or anybody say that President Trump had done anything inappropriate with masseuses or with anybody in your world? Maxwell, absolutely never in any context. Blanche, do you know whether 14 masseuses from Mar-a-Lago Spa ended up giving 15 massages? I'm sorry, take out those numbers. Do you know whether masseuses from Mar-a-Lago Spa ended up giving private massages to Mr. Epstein? I'm not asking for what you may have read, but at the time, from your personal knowledge, do you know whether that's true? Maxwell, I don't recall. Is it possible? Yes. But I don't remember. I don't remember that. So I don't recall that, but it's possible. Blanche, do you have a recollection of you ever recruiting a masseuse from Mar-a-Lago to give a private massage to Mr. Epstein? Maxwell, I never recruited a masseuse from Mar-a-Lago for that, as far as I remember. I can't ever recollect doing that. Blanche, okay, so what I think we should do now, it's about 12:15. We'll take a break, and we'll come back in a little bit. Maxwell, okay. Forgive me for the pauses in the reading. The conversation is broken in places, but that is the 2 pages that I think Tom Winter flagged as the most pertinent to the conversation that we've been having. Tom Winter joins us now, investigative correspondent for NBC News. Tom, what do you make of this?
So there's 22 references to Donald Trump on the first day, 3 references to him on the second day of the interview with Maxwell. I haven't read through all of the references to Trump. I highlighted the section where she's referred to in law enforcement circles as point blank asked, did you see that thing that people are talking about? You've just read there. It's a tricky read because the numbers are kind of combined with it. So that's why if folks are trying to understand that at home, there's page number, specific line numbers associated with each one, so it can be a little bit tricky to read off the cuff. As far as this interview, it was conducted with a federal agent in the room, with an FBI special agent in the room. And Blanche, at the start of his interview, says, look, you can tell us here today we're just having a conversation. He starts out by saying, I'm not promising to send Judge Nathan a letter. That's the judge who oversaw Maxwell's case. She's no longer overseeing the case because she's been appointed to the appellate courts, and said, basically, you could talk about whatever you want. There's 2 big exceptions. The first one is there's an FBI agent in the room. There's other federal officials in the room. I'm a federal official. If you lie to us, you're on the hook. You can be prosecuted. So that was kind of a question going into this, which is, if Blanche was in there by himself, technically, she could be charged with perjury, but then he'd be a witness to it. It'd be a bit of a difficult scenario. So now there's others in there. So that there's a hold on that. And we focus on perjury with Maxwell for a reason. I'll get to that in a second. Second thing is that if for some reason she is retried, there's overturned at the Supreme Court level, that this case somehow comes back, that if somebody were to say something specific to what she testified to, they could use that in a cross-examination scenario. So those are the 2 kind of caveats there. I know what you're about to read. I'll let you read it.
Well, I'm just curious.
Yes.
Have you, first of all, it's extraordinary to have this transcript, so I'm going to put that out there. I think it's extraordinary, you tell me if I'm wrong, for her to say this when she's asked about President Trump, for her to make a point of saying, I admire his extraordinary achievement in becoming the president now, and I like him, and I've always liked him.
Please pardon me.
I didn't say that for the record, but I
don't think anyone's going to confuse your voice with Catherine's.
That's correct. Yes, or Catherine's acumen. As far as this goes, none of this is surprising. None of what she says in the very limited amount of time that we've had to read it is very surprising. The references to Trump, there are a number of other questions that Blanche asks about other well-known business figures. Bill Gates, for example, to be clear, she doesn't say that she ever saw Bill Gates doing anything inappropriate. He asks about other Silicon Valley type figures. There's no indication that there's any sort of impropriety there. It's 263 pages the first day. I haven't gone through it. It's not exhaustive. But yeah, look, if in any other normal circumstance, this interview would not happen the way that it happened, period. This is a scenario where, you know, what does she kind of get out of this? Because there's no initial indication that she's pointing to any new specific leads. And in the first part of the first day, former personal attorney for Donald Trump is asking questions about Donald Trump and his involvement.
And she is talking about how Donald Trump has done nothing wrong, and this is being put into the public sphere. It's something that Donald Trump can use